Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District is a Board of Trustees are now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, November 9th, 2020 in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center located at 10,300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we're here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on Comcast Channel 16 and the district website. They will also be available as video on demand on the district website following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. As you may notice, we're a little thin up here tonight. We have some people on the board and then also on the administrative team that are quarantining. And so I would ask that you keep those people in your prayers, please. The invocation for tonight's meeting will be given by Nathan Walker, youth pastor of Crossbridge Christian Church. Before the invocation, I would like to introduce the Cypress Springs High School AFJROTC cadets who will be presenting the colors this evening. Carrying the U.S. flag is the Corps Commander and Color Guard Commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Natalie Miranda. Carrying the Texas flag is Cadet Major Jerome Stallworth. The U.S. Guard is Cadet Technical Sergeant Adriana Berryhill, and the Texas Guard is Cadet Captain Niall Curran. These cadets present the colors to you under the direction of Technical Sergeant Marvin Waterman. Cadet Second Lieutenant Mia Cazares will sing the national anthem, and Cadet Staff Sergeant Abilo Oluwaja, and I probably just Abiola. I'm sorry, I just blasted that, so please forgive me. Will be reciting words inscribed of the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Please stand for the prayer and remain standing for the pledge.
Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of this community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the students, the staff, the faculty, the alumni, and friends and family of the Cy-Fair ISD. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today and all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for your service to humanity. We ask these things in your holy and precious Son's name. Amen.
pledge allegiance
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
These words are inscribed on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met. Those words apply equally to many of our World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and Gulf War veterans as well. They apply to today's active duty service members, tomorrow's veterans, who are helping to maintain peace throughout the world. Today, it is a privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for their service and honor them for their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today, we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. I think what Mia and Abiola just did is just another reflection of the true talent we have in the students in our district. That was unbelievable. One of the best renditions that we've ever had for the Star Spangled Banner. So I was blown away. Board Member Tom Jackson will read the district's vision and mission statement for the benefit of the audience.
Our vision here at CFISD is formed from the acronym LEAD, to learn, empower, achieve, to dream, LEAD. Our mission statement, Our mission is to maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be the 21st century global leaders.
Thank you, Tom. We will now proceed with the recognitions portion of the agenda. Agenda item 3A, Cypress-Fairbanks ISD has been named a District of Distinction for 2020 and recognized by the Texas Art Educators Association as one of the top 43 school districts across the state for outstanding achievement and participation in art. Our presenter will be Lee Carrier.
Good evening. The Texas Art Education Association, TAEA, recently named Cypress-Fairbanks ISD as a 2020 District of Distinction, recognizing our visual art program for being among the top 4% of school districts in the state of Texas. Just 43 school districts from across the state received this prestigious award. TAEA recognized districts for outstanding leadership in promoting the arts in their district and community, as well as student participation. Each district was required to submit the documentation demonstrating it met criteria from the rigorous 12-point rubric during the 2019-2020 school year. The rubric examined a district's visual art program from participation in TAEA through membership, exhibitions and contests, to community engagement in the visual arts through field experiences, community service, and collaboration with other content areas as well. Even with adjustments due to COVID-19, CFISD successfully met all requirements for this award. With over 83,000 K-12 students enrolled in fine arts, CFISD provided data that showed 100% campus participation from our elementary school and middle school campuses in both VASE and district-wide art shows. CFISD is honored and proud of the level of participation from art teachers in providing visual art learning experiences for students in all grade levels. We would like to thank the school board, Dr. Henry, and our district and campus administrators for their continued advocacy and support of the K-12 visual arts program.
Thank you, Lee. And now I will read the superintendent's honors and achievements earned by staff and students in recent weeks. Adopt a School partnership with Owens Elementary School, and Crossbridge Christian Church. Representatives met virtually October 12th as the campus and community partner officially announced the Adopt a School partnership. CFISD's Adopt a School program pairs schools with community and business partners to utilize resources of the community to strengthen and enrich the quality of education for students. So we really appreciate Crossbridge Christian Church. In athletics and tennis, Bridgeland, Cypress Ranch, Cypress Woods, Jersey Village, and Cyfair High Schools advanced past the by-district round of the Class 6A team tennis playoffs and move on to the area round, while Cypress Falls High School concluded its season and finished as by-district finalist. In cross country, the Bridgeland High School girls cross country team clinched its third consecutive district title, while the Bridgeland boys cross country team won its second consecutive team title at the District 16 6A cross country championships. And now I'll turn it over to Roy Garcia for some administrative assignments. Roy?
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan and Board of Trustees, last month we introduced Lynette Bellamy as the new principal at Cypress Lakes High School. This created a vacancy at Lyby Middle School, and tonight we are excited to announce their new principal, Dr. Michael Contreras. This is Mike's 26th year as an educator. He received his bachelor and master degrees from Angelo State University and his doctorate from the University of Houston. He taught at the elementary level in San Angelo ISD for 4 years and at the middle school level in Northeast ISD for 8 years. He also served as an instructional math coach in Northeast ISD. Mike's administrative experience includes serving as an elementary assistant principal in San Angelo ISD and a middle school assistant principal in Judson ISD. Mike joined the Cyfair family as an assistant principal at Cypress Creek High School, and he most recently served as the director of instruction at Cypress Creek for the past 6 years. Mike participated in the Aspiring Principals Institute, the Executive Education Academy at Rice University, and has served as a summer school principal. Mike and his spouse Kevin have 2 children, Elizabeth, who is a freshman at Bridgeland High School, and Anthony, who is a 3rd grader at Keith Elementary School. Mike enjoys running, spending time with family, and working in the yard. Mike also shared he is a first-generation college graduate, and he hopes his journey inspires other students in the future. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Mike Contreras.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. First and foremost, to Dr. Henry, to the board for giving me this opportunity, Roy and the administrative team for making the decision and trusting me to continue the leadership at Libi Middle School. Lynette Bellamy has put in some amazing things happening there, and like I shared with the faculty and staff there, we want to continue and build on that. I also, of course, want to take the time to thank my family for their continued support in all my craziness and the things that I choose to do, for example, going to earn a doctorate. And so I thank them for that. Kevin, Anthony, and Elizabeth are my why each and every single day that I wake up and go do what I'm going to do. Dr. Macias for not only allowing, for supporting this opportunity, but as well for guiding me, leading me, and mentoring me through my doctoral program. To the Cypress Creek family, wherever they may be, wherever they are watching, I miss them each and every single day. You can't spend 6 years and not have a connection to that family. And so with that, Vicki Snookhouse, to see her here this evening, means the world to me. And then finally, to the Libi family, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of them for opening their arms, welcoming me to their place of learning. Got some good stuff going there, and we're going to continue to build on that. So once again, thank you, everyone. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to lead.
At this time, let's take a 3 or 4 minute break so we can all properly congratulate Mike. And we'll be back up here in a few minutes. We will now proceed with the public comments portion of the agenda. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board and make public comments on an agenda item during or before the board's consideration of the item. The board may allow public comment on agenda items at all meetings. The board will continue with the remaining agenda after the registered patrons have had an opportunity to speak. Tonight we have 2 speakers, and our first one will be Donna Lord.
And before I get started, I just wanted to extend our thoughts and prayers to those who are quarantining, so that we hope that they are safe. Good evening, I'm Donna Lord, president of Cyfair TSTA NEA. I'm a proud middle school teacher and a taxpayer in the district. On behalf of our members, I want to take this opportunity to thank the board and senior administration for beginning to take small steps forward in recognizing the efforts made by the staff and the additional burdens being placed on the teachers this school year. The addition of the monthly remote learning day to relieve the burden of working so many off-contract hours has been a help to the teaching staff. Going forward, to ensure that teachers get the full benefit of the intent of this day, we hope that you will guarantee that campus administration not present the teachers with agendas to follow or meetings to attend on those days. In the season of thankfulness, we are thankful for your efforts at waiving the provisions, some of the provisions of the CF tests, and also for proposing and approving the stipend, not only for our teachers, but for our support staff. While we appreciate your efforts, we hope that there is continued forward motion to repair the morale and the trust of both the teaching staff and the support staff. We continue to ask for seats at the table. We continue to ask that our voices be heard. Someone once said that if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. Teachers no longer want to be on the menu. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Mariah Najmuddin. Okay, did you hear that? Well, you can go that one. But she said the lights are not working, but the timer still works. So I'm sure you've got it down to an art. Don't worry about it.
We're like friends now. I come so often. Okay. Good evening. Typically, when I come to these meetings, I talk about my students. Tonight, I want to tell you a little bit about me. This morning, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. I had a hot cup of coffee. I got all my grades in. I got to school by 6. Then I worked until 3:30. I had car rider duty until 3:45. I had a staff meeting, and now I am here. Outside of school, I am the caregiver to my mother, who had a stroke when I was 20 years old, and I have been her caregiver since then. And I'm sure everyone on the board understands work-life balance and that it's so hard with all the things going on. You know, every time that we choose work over our family, we give up a little bit of ourselves. We sacrifice our mental health, we sacrifice our peace, and you know, it's just a lot of sacrifice. And so as the board tonight discusses that additional stipend, I want you to think about those sacrifices, because we know what it's like to pick work over our family. And we know what it's like and how much work our teachers are doing. I also want the board to clarify if this is an additional stipend to the one that was approved earlier in the year. I watched all the board meetings, and I know there was one approved earlier in the year. But also, I also want to remind the board that this year you also extended the instructional day, which attributes to 8 additional days without extending teacher contracts. So you stole like 8 days of work, which is almost a whole paycheck. And so I just want to remind you of that. And with that being said, I know how much the board cares about teachers. We know that because of the remote learning days. We know that because y'all respond to personal emails. And so tonight I beg you to do right by teachers and do right by the staff in Cyfair and approve this additional stipend because like I've said many times at this podium, this work is really, really hard, and it's very unsustainable. And tonight you have the opportunity to make it just a little bit less hard. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the board comments portion of the agenda. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any students, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this meeting. Do any board members have a comment they'd like to make? Debbie?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say a special thank you to our JROTC tonight for that special tribute to our veterans, and more importantly, a heartfelt thank you to our veterans and to the families of our soldiers who sacrificed their lives for us. Their sacrifice is remembered every day, and without them, we would not be here. And then secondly, I was honored to participate in the Harold Rowe Middle School dedication yesterday, and just want to thank CFISD staff and Stacia Carew staff at Rowe Middle School for the very special event and tribute to Harold Rowe. He is definitely, I've known Harold for many, many years and considered him a dear friend, and it was just a very special day to honor him. Thank you.
Well said, Debbie. Thank you. Any other comments from board members? Julie?
While the focus has been on politics and the election, there's been a lot of good happenings in our district, and many of which remind me of what makes CFISD special and helps me to stay positive and optimistic about getting through this year. So I just want to share a couple of highlights from the last week or so. Last week, Officer Sheena Melancon, who's one of our CFISD police officers, celebrated the completion of her chemo treatment for breast cancer. Her Langham Creek family has been cheering for her and loving on her for many months, and we're so excited and grateful that she has completed her treatment, and we're grateful for her survivorship. Also, I want to share one of our principals sent me some notes that she received from her students. I just want to read a couple of them to you. Dear principal, thank you for making the school a better place. During this stressful time, you managed to keep the school safe. You are the best principal ever. And I read that phonetically because it wasn't quite exactly spelled right, but the content came through. Thank you for giving me the best opportunities to have a good year, even though we are at the worst times. And thank you for being an amazing principal and keeping us safe and healthy so we can learn and have fun with our friends. And the last one, dear principal, we are so thankful for all that you do to make our school a better place and to make it safe and fun. We are so happy to be here and are ready to learn. I just love to hear those voices of our students, and I know it meant the world to her to receive those kind notes from her kiddos. Also, CFISD is starting its own Aspiring Counselor Institute, and I got to visit with the inaugural cohort via Zoom. It was very inspiring to see these fantastic teachers who want to become school counselors and support students and staff in new and important ways. This is just another example of Cypher-ISD's focus on mental health. And lastly, I know I shared this on social media, but I just can't help it. I have to mention it again. Our very own Abby McIntosh, who is a Cypher-ISD graduate and a member of our communications team, took an amazing photograph, and it literally gave me all the feels and brought me so much joy. She took a photo of the Langham Creek homecoming queen in her beautiful gown and her roses and her crown, and then she changed the homecoming queen changed into her uniform as a student athletic trainer, and she's serving and taking care of the football team. So she's in her, polo and her whatever, and she's got her mask on now, but she still has her crown on. And I just thought it was just so powerful. It just really inspired me. It showed our students are resilient, they're adaptive, they're strong, they're beautiful, they're smart, and they don't let anything stop them from serving each other and our community, and I just was so inspired. So thank you, Abby, for your beautiful photograph and for highlighting that example of our student population. So thanks.
Thank you, Julie. I had to retweet your tweet. That was an awesome picture. That was the coolest picture I've seen in a long time. Yeah. It was awesome. Gilbert?
Yeah, to echo Julie's sentiments and Debbie's sentiments, outstanding accomplishment by the young lady. I too retweeted that out as soon as I saw it. It was something amazing with her doing her trainer duties with her crown on her head. It was just absolutely fantastic, and great job bringing it up. Yes, I want to say prayers and quarantining health for all the the people who are missing today. My prayers are deeply felt there. Also, I want to echo on Julie's sentiments on Officer Melanson there. I was refereeing the Langham Creek volleyball game that night where she was presented with some roses and stuff for Breath of Awareness. I took a nice picture of it, and I'll see if I can share it, and you'll certainly like it and stuff. I have been out to about a half dozen schools because I referee on the side, and I have seen the parents out there, and there's only so many tickets they can give out inside, but the competitiveness of the kids playing and getting out there and everything else, it's really welcome. It's not without challenges, of course, but it's nice seeing the kids out there after what happened last spring when we had to shut down, and everything was distraught at that time, though. Went to a couple of football games, and the same thing there, too, win or lose. The district's out there, and you see everybody participating, and that's a nice, refreshing scene to see there. Also, I want to give out kudos to the Cy Springs junior varsity volleyball coach. I have had them for about 3 or 4 times this year. And at the beginning of the season in early September, she's expecting this fall. And if you see her, she probably thought she was expecting any day. And she has given her everything in all the matches. And her name is Coach Lewis. And I asked her, and I said I was going to bring her name up. It takes her a while to stand up. And when she calls times up and stuff, she's ready to go. And she's out there. She's masked up. She's coaching her kids. They're responding to her. They're very competitive. And to see this junior varsity high school volleyball coach in the latter part of her pregnancy out there doing her will, I mean, it is extraordinary. And I just always see her, and I'm amazed. And I'm amazed by the way our leadership has taken forth here in the pandemic time right now. And I wish everybody being safe and everything else. And it's just refreshing to my heart to see everybody out there doing their best that they can. Don, and great job tonight. You're doing so good. I'm so impressed with you.
Well, not really, but that's okay. Tom, do you have anything you want to say?
First, I'd like to thank everybody who went out and voted. Irrespective of the jersey that you happen to wear or the jersey you happen to vote for, I'm proud of the fact that this community turned out in record numbers to vote. I went to Cypress Lakes High School to recognize a number of our students who thought so much of the privilege to vote that they themselves went to encourage others to vote, and they will become registered, deputy registered, fill in the blank for me, Julie. Thank you. And my colleague, Julie Heineman, of course, is one as well. I remain impressed with our students. I, like everybody else, I've attended a number of the football games, and I don't focus so much on the score, but I see the joy in the faces of the students. But it is so much fun to sit with the parents and the families. It is a bit of normalcy, and everybody is glad to be there, which says that this district is, in fact, doing the right thing. It's very heartwarming. I visited with teachers, just like everybody else, and I always ask 2 questions. I have to ask questions, right? That's who I am. The first is, how are you doing? And the second is, how are your students doing? It reminds me of the job I have to do up here, because invariably, by the time I get to the second question, tears always form. We never forget the job that the teachers and staff and administrators are doing during this time period. It will become just a bit more difficult in the coming months. But wasn't it wonderful news about the vaccine that was announced this morning with a 90% efficacy rate. And then I would like to give my tip of the hat tonight to Central Admin for the senior leaders who came up with a package to demonstrate flexibility, to try and reduce stress, to increase the opportunities for learning and attainment all at the same time. And it took their ability to hear from both teachers and principals and to make a recommendation as to what they thought would be in the best interest of all concerned. And I'm pleased that it was brought to us and we have the opportunity to vote on that tonight. So I tip my hat tonight to our senior management. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Tom. While we have this moment, I do want to point out, and I think the Cy Springs cadets did a great job of reminding us of Veterans Day, which I believe is this Wednesday. And I do want to point out that we have a veteran on our board, Gilbert Sarabia. And also, if you are in the audience, and I ask Gilbert to do the same, and you're a veteran, please stand right now so we can recognize you. I can tell you that we truly appreciate your selfless service, so thank you guys. We will now proceed with the citizen participation portion of the agenda. What? Did you not hear proceed? Okay, just making sure you hear it over there.
I want to unproceed for a second.
All right.
Going back to the voting, echo Tom's sentiments, absolutely, but also want to give out kudos for the voter turnout that we had, and that lady right there, over there, who has registered so many voters the last couple of years that I see week after week on her post where she was at this high school, that high school, that high school, and never in my mind would I think of the voter turnout that we had in this race. You're a direct reflection on our community, Julie Heineman. I want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern, interest to the district. Other than the character of any student, staff, or board member, the board may not act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. Tonight we have 3 speakers that have signed up, and our first one is Priscilla Reed.
Hello, school board trustees. I'm Priscilla Reed, and my husband and I have 2 daughters, Caroline, who is a freshman cheerleader at Cy Woods, and Catherine, who is an 8th grader at Splain and swims at Villasport. I'm addressing you all today as a parent and a healthcare provider. I am a healthcare provider who would like to see Cypress ISD become a heart-safe school district. I am a cardiology nurse practitioner at Texas Children's Hospital, and our hospital is a proud affiliate healthcare site for Project Adam. Project Adam strives to assist schools and communities in establishing an emergency plan to place into action in the incidence of a sudden cardiac arrest. It is simply not enough to have just AEDs. You have all heard in the news or maybe witnessed an athlete or a student, parent or colleague collapse while at school or playing a sport. This is a terrifying event, and being prepared is of utmost importance. Sudden cardiac arrest occurs when the heart stops beating, leading to a loss of circulation and a loss of consciousness with no blood flow to the brain or other vital organs. Without immediate life support measures, sudden cardiac arrest results in rapid death. Numerous studies have demonstrated that the best chance of saving a life is within the first 4 minutes of the event. And Texas Children's with Project Adam will provide the foundation for CFISD to plan and develop their program, including planning templates, a reference manual, and one-on-one consultation on how to prevent sudden cardiac death in the school setting. Project Adam Heart Safe School designation is attained by schools upon successful implementation of a quality sudden cardiac arrest program of awareness, training, and effective emergency response to promote a heart-safe environment for student, visitors, and staff. There are already Houston area school districts participating in this invaluable program, including Katy ISD, HISD, Aldine ISD, and some individual schools from Crosby. And I would love to see Cypress-Fairbanks ISD join that list. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Our next speaker will be Melissa Martin.
Hi. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here on behalf of myself, my senior daughter who is in theater arts, and the fact that we feel like the guidelines put out for football and band and some of the other activities are not equivalent and equitable for the fine arts and theater. I've sent several emails and I haven't gotten a response as to why this was, except we chose to use this one aerosol study. So I appreciate you allowing me to express this and have you all look at this further. Theater is limited to 45 minutes rehearsals, have to stay 6 foot apart, and perform in masks. Yet we're allowed to come up here and speak without masks. Volleyball is an indoor sport. They are not socially distanced, and they share equipment, and they are allowed to perform or participate unmasked. It does not feel like hashtag CSISD for all, and I respectfully request that this be reconsidered. In doing research, the NFHS, in conjunction with Sports Medicine Advisory Committee, said that we need to be getting back to all of these activities appropriately for the mental health of our students, more so even than the physical aspect of COVID. I have sent a really long email. I have copies for y'all, and I emailed the board with them as well, because 2 minutes is not very long to express all of these concerns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If you'd leave those emails with Roy Sprague right there, Roy, if you'll take those, he'll make sure that each of us get those. Our next speaker will be Emma Schiller. I think you should.
Good evening, you guys. My name is Emma Schiller, and I'm a varsity theater actress at Cypress Ranch High School. I would first like to thank the board for your attendance at our shows, and we are so honored whenever you guys are there, and we love seeing your faces in the audience, and so we really want to thank you. I would first like you to think back to the last performance that you saw at a high school. Maybe it was Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid, or maybe it was Cinderella at Cy Woods or a UIL performance. I want you to think about how that made you felt and how disappointed you were when the curtain closed and you had to go back to your normal life. In the last 8 months, theater has not been able to perform in the same way that we were before. This past Saturday, we were able to have our first performance where we had 5-minute pieces that we were submitting to a state contest, and just being on that stage again was exhilarating. However, after that 5-minute performance, I could barely breathe, and my friends could barely breathe, and in the audience, there was barely anybody because of the limited amount of seating. I'm here to ask you not to take away restrictions from anybody else, because I'm so glad that they get to do what they love to do without those restrictions. I'm asking for the same leniency that you have with the sports and with football, with theater. I'm asking that we are able to be socially distant and perform without masks to our full capacity, like how football is able to perform without full masks as they are breathing the same air with each other. I'm asking that we can resume our normal productivity in theater and get to perform for you guys again. Theater has saved my life and has blessed my soul, and we want to be able to use that magic in the theater to save and bless others. That's why we do what we do, and that's why it's so important to us. Is beyond us, it's to help others and to bless the lives of our audience members. I please ask you to consider more leniency with theater in regard of time restrictions and masks, just like how I'm able to speak to you today without wearing a mask. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. The public hearing and reports portion of the agenda were presented at the board work session on Thursday, November 5th, 2020. The board will now proceed with the consensus action items portion of the agenda. Agenda item 9A, the board will consider approving the minutes of the October 12th, 2020 regular board meeting. The following non-consensus items were moved to consensus during the board work session on Thursday, November 5th, 2020. Agenda item 10A, the board will consider approving the district's 2020 comprehensive annual financial report and single audit report and accept the auditor's report on the district's general purpose financial statements and single audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020. Agenda item 10B, the board will consider approving the budget amendments for the period of July 1, 2020 through September 30th, 2020. Agenda item 10C, the board will consider adopting legislative priorities for the 87th legislative session. Agenda item 10E, the board will consider approving a waiver of the provisions in EIA local academic achievement grading progress reports to parents. Agenda item 10F, the board will consider approving the Walgreens Experiential Learning Program Agreement. Agenda item 10G, the board will consider approving course offerings for career and technical education and special education. Agenda item 10H, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies, BF local, board policies, DED local, compensation and benefits, DIA local, employee welfare, DMD local, professional development, ED local, organization of instruction, EI local, academic achievement, FD local admissions, FDE local admissions, FEB local attendance. Agenda item 10I, the board will consider approving a waiver of DNA local performance appraisal evaluations of teachers for the 2020-2021 school year. Agenda item 10J, the board will consider approving the memorandums of understanding and interlocal agreements with partner universities, colleges, and alternative certification programs for student teacher placements for the 2020-2021 school year. Agenda item 10K, the board will consider approving the superintendent's recommendation to rescind the notice to Diane Riggs regarding discharge of her employment with the district. Agenda item 10L, the board will consider the approval and execution of the plat for the CFISD Hancock Elementary School. Agenda item 10M, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item, Aruba maintenance, college readiness and career interest test, parking lot striping, restaurant catering and delivery services, school buses, spirit apparel, and promotional items. Agenda item 10N, the board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractors and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contracts as follows: 2019 Bain and Leader Elementary School renovations, 2020 Cy-Fair Federal Credit Union Stadium athletic lighting replacement. If any board member wishes to remove one or more items for further discussion, please do so at this time. If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the consensus items as presented or amended.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Jackson.
I second the motion.
A second from Ms. Blackshear. Any questions from board members?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Jackson?
Matt, we have a contract for work at both Leader and Bain. Would you briefly explain the scope of the work and why Bain needs additional work?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
In 2017, we did complete an up-to-standards renovation of Bain. The work in this package is implementing the safety and security measures that were approved in the 2019 bond, which include classroom segmentation, additional impact-resistant glass, additional security at the receptionist area, classroom phones, and security fencing. And at Leader, we're also doing a 14 classroom addition.
And this information was part of the board book, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions? I have a motion from Mr. Jackson and a second from Ms. Blackshear. All those in favor, please signify. It's unanimous. The following non-consensus action item remained on non-consensus. Agenda item 10D, the board will consider approving the targeted improvement plans for Bain Elementary School and Francone Elementary School. May I have a motion to approve non-consensus action item 10D?
Mr. Ryan, I make a motion that the targeted improvement plans for Bain Elementary School and Francone Elementary School, and put that motion forward.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ms. Blackshear. I have a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Jackson. Any questions from board members?
Yes, sir.
Tom?
Linda, we have visited this before, and I thought we had a great plan. And at the board meeting, when we adopted it, I said that part of the accountability, I was holding myself accountable for the success of the plan. Why are you back here again tonight with the targeted improvement plan?
Well, I agree with you. We had a great plan, and that great plan was put into action almost with perfection by our two schools. But once COVID became a part of our lives in the spring, and the state waived testing and accountability measures, then they were not able to demonstrate that they were on target to meet the targets they had set and to be able to exit school improvement. And so, but the state said that schools that were in school improvement had to remain there for the 2021 school year.
Now, some tests were taken, and we do have benchmarks. And I know you look at the data. So based upon the data that was obtained, is it your opinion that had COVID not hit, that they would have in fact exited the TIP?
Yes, and you are correct. We had benchmarks all the way through March of last year, and these two schools were on target to be successful. They had shown great improvement and would have exited school improvement. No one was more disappointed than our two principals and our teachers at these two schools, because they put their heart and soul into the plan, and they would have achieved the plan.
Excellent. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Tom. I have any additional questions? I've got a motion from Debbie and a second from Tom. All those in favor, please signify. It's unanimous. And I will now read the superintendent's briefing portion of the agenda. 2 millionth curbside meal. The CFISD Nutrition Services Department celebrated serving 2 million curbside meals on August 29th since beginning the free community service on March 16th due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Curbside Connect grab-and-go meals provide breakfast and lunch at no cost, repeat, no cost to children 18 years and younger who are not engaging in traditional face-to-face learning. Meals are available from 4 to 6 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday at 33 CFISD campuses. A list of Curbside Connect meal sites can be found on the district website. And I can tell you those are remarkable numbers, and Julie points it out almost every meeting. Our food service department is amazing. So
Mr. Ryan,
we appreciate them.
Can I make one comment right here?
Of course you can.
That's
I'm not going to say
appropriate.
no to you.
On Monday afternoon, I picked up my granddaughter from elementary school, and she got in the car and she had this bag, and she says, "Granny, as soon as we get home, we've got to put this in the refrigerator. This is my breakfast and lunch for tomorrow that they sent home from school with me today." And as I opened it and looked and saw all the food that was in there and snacks, I was just totally blown away, knowing that every student in our district went home with a meal for the day that they would not be in class, so our teachers could have a break from students and a chance to work. But kudos again to our nutrition department. It was amazing food and amount. Thank you.
You bet. And kudos to you for eating your granddaughter's food. Okay, I know you did. I just got to let that go. I'd like to remind Thanksgiving holidays. I'd like to remind the community that schools will be closed the week of November 23rd through 27th. For the Thanksgiving holidays, some of our support facilities, including the Instructional Support Center, will also be closed. I'd like to wish all students and employees a relaxing and safe holiday as we take time to be thankful for the many freedoms and blessings we enjoy in this country. We are now adjourned. Thank you.